Now, I know I'm not the only one who's deeply disappointed in Bruce Lee with the shocking revelations that he was a pretty heavy drug user, spiraling habit before his early death. I mean, the truth is, this article and this revelation pretty much points to the fact that he was, at least in part, killed by a cocaine habit. Um, the kind of extreme training he was doing in combination with cocaine is just a terrible fucking idea. I mean, yeah, in 72, Lee asked him for a large amount of cocaine. Okay, I mean, that's a cokehead. That's a cokehead. And, you know, the stories of Bruce Lee being kind of a jerk are well known, but this is very disappointing because no real martial artist does heavy drugs like this. No real martial artist that's into the philosophy of martial arts does this. This is just a Hollywood jerk off who poses in a movie with his pinkies out. Another thing that came out in this whole Bruce Lee drug story was the fact that he had his sweat gland surgically removed so that he could be more pretty in a movie. I find that very disturbing. Um, well, I find cosmetic surgery, especially the type that could potentially endanger your life, very disturbing to begin with. But removing your sweat glands while you do a pile of cocaine and do extreme martial arts training where you're cutting all the body fat and cutting all your water weight to look shredded. I mean, it's just stupid. This guy must have thought he was King Kong. He's gonna just poke you with that pinky and you're just gonna fall down when he hits you, right? And so hopefully, if all goes according to plan, my video, The 10 Stages of Surgical Transhumanism, has already been published a couple days ago. And so you know what I mean when I say that Bruce Lee is a stage 3 surgical transhuman for having his sweat glands removed for a cosmetic procedure. Transhumanism is rooted in insecurity, mental illness, as is all cosmetic surgery, basically. I mean, that's why they call it cosmetic surgery, because you don't need it for any medical reason. You just want to look different. You want to look different than who you are. And sometimes people get mangled in an accent. Okay, whatever. You know? But that's not the majority of it. I mean, look at all the women walking around looking like Kim Kardashian. Looking fake and plastic as hell. Looking like a walking don't looking like a walking stay away, like a porcupine or something. Stay away. But it comes down to the mentality behind technology, which is, again, mental illness and insecurity. You need technology because you feel insecure. You're not as good as a hunter as Joe. So you need a crossbow when he just needs a regular bow. That's technology. So strong people don't need technology. Technology is about slavery. There's no piece of technology that wasn't produced through slavery. Because everything that's made from metal has to be mined out of the ground by slaves. So anytime you see something that's made out of metal, just remember that you're looking at slavery. How would you like to go dig a fucking hole in the ground and dig rocks out of it? Only slaves do those things. Only people under duress and under coercion are minors. So anyways, off topic, but yeah. No, it's not off topic. What the fuck am I saying? Yeah, the most basic building block of technology is deeply unethical and destructive. Not just because it enslaves and destroys humans, but it enslaves and destroys the planet and everything on it. Mining is one of the most destructive, environmentally destructive things you can do. I'm just saying, to be clear, I'm not just against transhumanism. Transhumanism is just the next stage of technology. I'm against all technology. All technology has to be eradicated. Not because it's technology, because it was built unethically. If such a thing as ethical technology could exist, and I believe it could, and probably did, then it's fine. It's not unethical in and of itself. But if you can't produce things without enslaving people and destroying habitats, no free person would ever choose to dig a hole in the ground and dig rocks out to build a pyramid. Ever. Only slaves do that. So just remember, if you ever want to be free, if you want to go away from transhumanism and everything that it represents, you have to reject technology. You have to re-embrace nature. It's the only way. Only nature can save us from this transhuman future. And it's becoming more and more clear that Bruce Lee, unfortunately, was not who we thought he was. Can we just assume across the board that none of them were worth a damn? And if they were, they never would have been put out there as heroes and movie stars in the first place? I mean, we all conveniently forget how easily Bruce Lee seemed to fit into a Hollywood set and a Hollywood lifestyle. This man did not operate with any ethics. He did not operate with a code, even a code of self-preservation. Everything was ego, ego, ego for Bruce Lee. And we can see that by what he did to his own body and what he did to achieve fame and keep it. The illusion of being a healthy person versus the reality of being one. That is the choice you have to make for yourself. Will you embrace the illusion and the group insanity, the group mental illness? Or will you embrace nature and the truth that nature shows you without any help from me or anyone else to explain it? Self-explanatory. Bruce Lee made the wrong choice. But as we know, these wrong choices are made out of the mental illness caused by child abuse. I mean, Bruce Lee was a fighter. Street fighter guys are abused children, almost all of them. And of course, there were other signs of mental illness in Bruce Lee's character, despite the fact that he was an innovator in martial arts. You see, that's what people want to focus on. He was good at martial arts and ignore everything else. And they want to ignore the Great Plague. And this is the result. We have fake heroes and a planet full of mentally ill, sick people. It's the Great Plague. Okay, shit, I forgot I wanted to say this about the whole Bruce Lee thing and him being a transhuman, is that there was just another article in the news recently about this fitness influencer who dies after a botched operation, the same surgery that Bruce Lee had. Because this article for Bruce Lee came out just a couple months ago, last month, July 8th, 1 month ago. And then this one came out a week later. So apparently the whole thing with Bruce Lee having his sweat glands removed was well known, but it just got rehashed because of the drug thing. But then this article comes out a week later about this person who had her sweat glands removed. I mean, obviously, if you want to know what someone who's on steroids looks like, take a good look. There's too much definition in the muscle, and there's too little fat, and there's too much vascularity. Those are the three things that you can usually tell. Died after botched operation to fix. Constant sweating is a good thing. Who told you constant sweating was a bad thing? Permanently reduces sweat and odor. Well, if you smell bad, your diet's bad. I mean, again, a fake healthy person like Bruce Lee. A health influencer, right? Fitness influencer like Bruce Lee, but they're not fit. They're mentally ill. That is all. This is the Great Plague.